Hello everyone at the Games Done Quick submission team. My name is KZ Frew and this is my submission for Grand Theft Auto Vice City any percent. This run is currently the world record as of April 15th, 2015 with a time of 56 minutes and 31 seconds. I'll be commentating this run today, doing my best to show off the run and explain some of the tricks, and hopefully it'll be a good one. So let's get right into it. The very first thing you might notice about this game is that it is in Japanese, and this is actually a recent change that we made in the community. One of us found out that the Japanese version allows a glitch that other versions do not, and this allows us to save over 2 minutes. The Japanese text does not save any time in terms of like the language itself, because like for example Ocarina of Time is faster because the language is Japanese. There's none of that here. All the languages are equally quick because the dub is what matters, and the dub is only in English. So the first thing we're going to do is cruise down to this hotel, and I want to make it as quickly as possible, but not too quickly because it accidentally triggers a cutscene that I don't want to sit through. Now I'm going to come out here and I'm going to grab this taxi. This seems arbitrary, but the taxi is very important because it allows us to manipulate the game state. There are two game states, on mission and off mission. When you're on a mission, certain things about the game are inaccessible than if you were off a mission. So I'm going to trigger the on mission, and I'm going to do a glitch that allows it to stay on the mission even though I'm outside of the taxi, and I'm going to save a replay over where a rampage icon normally would be. The rampages allow us to manipulate the game state as well, the on mission and off mission, and we can actually access these rampages through replays, as I'm about to do here. I saved a replay, and I'm able to trigger it through the replay. And now I'm going to go for this moped called the Faggio. This is going to be a little bit faster than taking the taxi. The taxi's kind of a slow vehicle. So I'm going to cruise down and perform the mission as normal. The only difference between a casual game right now and the speedrun is that I have a timer ticking. You see it at 1:31, 1:30, and it's counting down from there. The goal right now is to finish this mission, which you will know as it will have a mission completed screen. I want to finish this mission and start the next one before that timer runs out. The reason I do that is when the timer runs out, no matter what's happening, the game is no longer in a mission state. It'll be off a mission. And we do this because it's helpful for us to be off of a mission, the game state to be off, in Back Alley Brawl, which is the next mission. So right now the goal is to just finish up this mission and then start the next one before the timer expires. You're going to see me on a bike most of this run because bikes are way faster than any other land transportation. There will be a lot of helicopter use later on in the speedrun. So this mission has been completed. My goal now is to move on to the next one as fast as possible before the timer runs out. We've got 30 seconds and I'm nearly there, so it's pretty easy to do. Sliding against the wall there allows the bike to come to a screeching stop when I hop off. It's pretty handy. I use side camera here to keep traffic from spawning ahead of me, because as you can imagine, hitting traffic on a bike is not something you want to do. So we're going to cruise up to the Malibu, which is our next destination here. I'm actually able to avoid the Malibu wrong warp here. If the timer has expired by the time you reach the Malibu, you're going to have to exit the Malibu twice. I'm going to go for a shotgun now, as that will come in handy a couple missions later. And you can see that I'm no longer on a mission based on the radar icons. I can actually start this mission again if I wanted to. But now I reactivate that rampage, which is something I'm only able to do because the game doesn't think I'm on a rampage. The game doesn't think I'm on a mission anymore. So activating the rampage there is the absolute earliest you can actually do it. As if you activate it before, you can't pick up weapons or items when you're on a rampage, so I wouldn't be able to pick up that phone. So the optimal way to do it is to jump towards the phone, then activate the rampage right before you hit the phone, as there's a bit of a delay. It could be anywhere from immediate, which is really unfortunate and bad RNG, to 500 milliseconds before the rampage activates. Just standard gameplay here. Although the timer is still ticking. Now the goal is to have the timer nearly about to expire by the time we start the next mission. And when the timer expires, it's going to allow us to take the next mission again. So we're running 2 instances of the same mission. And for this mission in particular, Jerry Ferry, the goal is to damage 2 vehicles. Now, when we spawn 2 sets of vehicles, they land on top of each other, and they're going to damage each other. And that's going to meet the threshold of damage that is required for the game to complete the mission. The goal here is to pick up a vehicle as soon as possible, as we really want to speed all the way back to the next mission taker, and we have to take a phone call. Phone calls are a huge part of the speedrun. If you mess up your phone calls, you can really screw your time up. You cannot skip phone calls, and they are required to advance the story. So we have to sit through each and every one. As you can see right now, I'm taking a bit of a break, letting this phone call run through, and letting this timer get really, really close to expiring. 3 seconds is about when I want to go in, and I was able to accomplish that here. And so we start Jerry Ferry twice.
My appendix decides to burst during this run, I'm going to be really upset.
And now, as you can see, 2 guys spawn, 2 cars run over this guy. Normally, in normal gameplay, it's only supposed to be 1. My camera flips 180 degrees for some reason. I don't know why that happens. And I get on a Faggio, the moped. This cutscene plays twice, and that means the mission has passed. I'm teleported to the location of one of the juror cars. So all I gotta do now is head back to the mission taker again and take the final mission that I will be taking from this guy. I'm gonna put that shotgun I picked up earlier into use now. Just cruise to the destination here. Very careful to not hit any traffic, as traffic accidents take a lot of time. Especially depending on where your vehicle actually lands, it can take tons of time. So here we are at the mission destination. I'm going to use my shotgun to blow up that barrel and then this van, as the goal of this mission is to blow up these vehicles. I'm going to pass the mission and die on purpose. This is a death warp, and I'm going to end up near the next mission taker. It is about 5 seconds faster, 5 to 8 seconds faster than driving with the Faggio down to this location. The only downside is I lose my shotgun. But thankfully, there is another weapon located nearby that I can use. I've got to take another phone call now, and I'm going to use this this walking bit to take the phone call, and it conveniently ends up finishing right as I reach this bike.
Proposing is a bad thing. It was just an interesting choice of, like, a venue to propose at.
I'm gonna grab the bike and grab this weapon here.
I hope they're happy. Otherwise, that'd be a sad.
It's a pistol. It's not the best choice for this next mission, but it is the most convenient choice. Now we're gonna activate more replay abuse, if you will. As I said before, you can save replays over game icons and things to use to your advantage. And I'm gonna go out of the way of the mission objective here to make a replay over something that looks completely arbitrary and random, but it'll come in handy 2 missions later.
Just don't do it.
So I'm gonna park my bike here, and the screen's gonna flash. That means I'm saving a replay there. And now I'm gonna do this cool little stunt to get out of this garage as fast as possible. And now I begin my trek to the mission objective. It's really important to be able to recognize traffic patterns and dodge cars with ease. You got to know the trouble spots, where the bumps are and everything, so it's a lot harder than it looks. A lot of runs can die to bad traffic or to bad traffic
second
weaving,
count.
if
Yeah,
you
it
will.
does.
So now I
It
show up to
does.
this
They
guy's
try
place,
to,
and I'm using that weapon
make
that I
as few
got
mistakes
earlier
as
there
possible so
to
that
gun
the
him
most
down as
accurate
quickly as
as
possible. The intended way to do it is a chainsaw, but that is slow. And now the
So
game
every
wants
bike
me
fall
to
is
go
about
to a
8
pain
seconds.
spray to
And you'll see
eliminate
me
my
get
wanted
upset
level,
with
as
the
gunning
time
that guy
losses
down
seem
gets the
really
cops'
minute but are
attention.
annoying.
However, the pain spray is out of the way, and it's slow to go there, so the better thing to do is to grab an icon called a police bribe. What a police bribe does is lower your
If I
wanted
hit
level by
someone
1.
here, that's gonna
And when
cost
it's
time.
lowered all the way down to just
Thankfully, I
1
get
star,
more
as you can see by the
non-mission
highlighted
pass.
one, but not anymore because I lost my wanted level.
And this rancher
1 star
is
wanted levels
shitty.
expire after about 20 seconds from the last crime you committed.
But yeah,
So the best thing to do there is to grab the cop bribe to lower your 2-star wanted level down to 1, and then not commit any crimes to get the police attention. Otherwise, you're extending the length of your wanted star there. So just not commit crimes for 20 seconds and the mission will pass. Now on to the next mission here. My phone was ringing there briefly. Phone calls can be postponed by triggering Tommy to enter a vehicle, but you can cancel that vehicle entrance by moving away from the vehicle. So what the thing is there is you can't take phone calls while in vehicles, so you can manipulate that fact to your advantage and postpone calls until a later time. I ditched my bike there so that it's conveniently nearby after I gun this guy down and grab the briefcase. It's a pretty straightforward mission. There is no need to lose the wanted level for this mission in particular. So we can just head back to the mission taker and return the briefcase to him and then move on immediately to the next mission.
The Portuguese version doesn't exist, and we'd be using that one instead of the Japanese version, but it's just a coincidence that the fastest version for Vice City is now the Japanese version.
I'm going to activate the replay that I made here. What that does is it triggers a cutscene in this garage, and I'm teleported to it. And I'm going to grab that weapon.
Chris. Too much red right now.
Basically,
The JP glitch
when you grab that
is
weapon,
skipping
a
boatyard
cutscene begins,
by
and it
instead
teleports Tommy to a
passing
fixed
cherry
location.
bombs
That's why I was able
as soon as
to get to that garage through the
And that's done by
replay.
starting
I activate a
cherry
close
bombs.
icon here, which seems arbitrary, but I save a replay over it. Close icons are very helpful in the speedrun. They can help you bypass the fact that your movement is fixed, as in locked, during cutscenes. If you start a close icon replay immediately before a mission cutscene happens, you can avoid the mission cutscene from locking your movement, and you can actually move during the cutscene. And this way you can manipulate whatever's going on to your advantage to save time. It's very helpful.
My mood's improving a little, so that's good. My appendix still
This
hurts.
mission is a bit of an auto-scroller.
Guys, I think I might have
There's
to
not
have
too much going on. I'm going to
surgery
grab this
while
health icon and
speedrunning.
try to minimize damage
That'll
as
make
I
fucking
jump
headlines,
off of
right?
this
That'll
roof
be your
here.
partner. Alright, Ben, you're gonna feel a slight pinch. Oh, just take it out. Just take it out. Oh, God. Ah!
The best thing to do here is to just kill the guys as quickly as possible as they come up. So I'm going to position myself in predetermined locations that make it easy to gun down these guys so they don't do too much damage.
Because I don't have one yet. Please? Okay, no ammo there. Surgery improves speedrunning capability.
Chainsaw is best for these guys in the van.
I believe you.
They're all relatively close to each other. It makes it easy to just chainsaw them down.
My appendix could be in a moat. Nice. Little emote of it in a jar. And that guy is an innocent bystander who got completely caught up in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Blowing up that van gets rid of all these guys, and now I'm going to stand in a specific spot to make this next takeout, this next vehicle, if you will, easier for me. But I'm going to activate a close replay as soon as I kill the first guy and then kill the second guy. So now a mission cutscene has started. right after I trigger the close replay, you can see me moving during this cutscene. I'm going to gun this guy down, which normally you have to chase, but because he died in the cutscene, it makes things a lot easier. I can just pick up whatever he dropped and bring it back to Diaz. I failed this here.
Every fucking time.
You're supposed to be standing still when you activate close replays, and unfortunately, I was still moving forward, even though I'm pretty sure I wasn't holding the key, so I wasn't able to move during this cutscene. Coming up next is a trick that is a little difficult for me, but it saves about 8 seconds if you perform it properly. Vice City does not handle out-of-bounds situations very well, so if you force Tommy into a situation where he would be forced into an object, the game freaks out and teleports you to a local location that it knows is safe, and that happens to be, at this point, across the bridge that is still locked. The call I'm taking right now unlocks this bridge. However, I'm already over it, even though it's still locked. It doesn't become unlocked until the end of this phone call, and same with this mission here.
Because I didn't get the glitch.
The chase is a mission where a lot of things can go wrong. I used the time to take, the time during that phone call to take off this door for this vehicle and to tilt it in a direction towards the exit. Tearing off doors saves about half a second each time you get into a vehicle, so you don't actually have to drag the door open. A little more than half a second, probably. More closer to a second. In this mission, you're supposed to chase a guy down to find out where he's hiding Diaz's money, who is your current boss, if you will. However, the speedrun version of it does not quite involve a chase, except for this roof segment. There are 2 things that I have to do after this roof segment, and you're going to see me run into a wall here. It looks like an accident, but it isn't. It's something I'm doing on purpose. If you get too far ahead of him, he'll soft lock until you approach him again.
I appreciate that.
So I just don't want to get too far ahead of him. And now I'm going to run across this roof, drop to the ground, and activate a close replay when he comes into view. This is going to spawn a vehicle, as you can see on the right-hand side. I'm actually hijacking that vehicle right now as he's getting into it. And then I have to do 2 things. The driver's side door has to be blocked, and I have to be moving forward. And if I do both of those things at the same time, if the driver's side door is blocked and I'm moving forward, then our target, if you will get into the vehicle and just sit there. So instead of chasing him around as his buddy drives him, I can just drive him to this location. And then when I reach a certain point on the map, it'll trigger the end of the mission.
Wow, that's fine. 1635 is okay, I guess. I really don't know.
The fastest thing to do here is to, once again, go somewhere that we shouldn't be going. This wall is actually just not solid. You can just run right through it, and I'm going to be getting... Well, I won't be getting onto the bridge, but I'm still inside of the bridge, which is still just as fast. I'm using this time to take a phone call as well. You can see that I scoped right after I took that phone call. If you scope while taking a phone call, it avoids the phone call state. The phone call state is where Tommy just holds the phone to his... holds the phone to his ear. He can't sprint, he can't shoot weapons, he can't enter vehicles. It's really slow compared to sprint. So if you avoid the phone call state completely, then you will be able to sprint, shoot weapons, and enter vehicles. However, if you enter a vehicle, phone call won't actually finish. So basically, like, all the phone calls lines are skipped. And you're going to have to take it again when you land, or, you know, get out, basically. There's a delay between when a phone call actually decides to come through. We can manipulate that to an extent. We, like, can't manipulate the time it takes to get a phone call, but we can manipulate, like, when we get out, we want to take a phone call. So we get in a vehicle, drive for a bit, get out, take a phone call because the delay is passed, and... I think what I'm saying makes sense. I bypassed another phone call there. That one is actually one that triggers a side mission, and it has the lowest phone call priority out of any other phone call, so I can just bypass it completely, since I'll never have to dig that low in the phone call priority list. Each phone call has a certain priority compared to others. There's actually a document out there that lists each phone call and its priority, and what triggers it, and when it decides to activate and whatnot.
Whoa, don't downvote that.
But that one is one of the lowest. There's 5 of them, and that one is like the 5th lowest, because it's the first one. Then you go for the second one, the 3rd, and 4th, and 5th. So right now I activated the close replay, and then right-clicked. And that puts me in 3rd person, and it also removes the shooting animation on Tommy during the section, which allows me to bypass the buffer that the gun uses. The gun uses the animation. That's what tells it to shoot at a certain rate. So when I kill the animation, the gun just defaults to like 0 firing rate. So it's just wicked fast as a minigun. And since this gun is extremely powerful, it's just overpowered at this point. You can see me just gunning down dudes pretty simply here. Makes this a lot easier, especially since the camera isn't tied to the helicopter. I have free movement. I can look in any direction. Whereas before, like, my helicopter would be tied to the side of the helicopter. It'd be a pain. I could only move my viewport so much, and it would, like, move with the rotation of the helicopter. That's not an issue here. So I don't have to fight the helicopter's movement to get a good shot. I kill these 3 guys really quickly, and then I'm gonna shoot Lance at a very specific point. That allows the helicopter to drop wicked fast, faster than normal. And since the game doesn't check if Lance is alive or not, it just checks the helicopter health. It's technically not a mission fail. So Lance just comes back alive, since technically Lance shouldn't be able to die during this mission, since you're never able to actually look at Lance, so you can't shoot him, since your viewport is limited normally.
I don't like the fact that I have to get in my car.
But of course in the speedrun we're not interested in normal.
It fucking sucks.
So I have a helicopter sitting outside this mansion. I'm just gonna leave it hanging out there for now. You saw me take it earlier and land it there. Since this is a one-way trip, we use the Infernus here, which is the closest vehicle, and it's actually quite fast. You see I lost the door there to the side of that gate. I did that because I want to get out here, save a replay over this property icon, and then I'm going to get back in and continue to the mission destination. That'll come in handy later.
Right, like...
I can't actually use it right now, because we haven't passed the mission shakedown yet, which is when you can start buying properties over the map, but yeah, we will be buying that eventually. You can see a property icon here. This is the boatyard. This is what we used to buy and used to use for the speedrun until very recently.
And most of the time you'd end up in like India.
But the new property that we buy actually saves us about 2 minutes.
Like life index.
So I just pick up this boat. You saw me clip through the gate there and enter the boat. That's just a basic abuse of game mechanics. If you press the enter vehicle button within a certain radius of a boat, it'll just teleport you into the boat. And there, I just abuse that mechanic to get into the boat. It's nothing too fancy.
Used to live in Wisconsin. That's pretty cool.
Also, I'm using a glitch called Infinite Sprint. It's pretty simple. Instead of holding the sprint button like the game wants us to, we just tap it, and that increases the length of our sprint for far longer than intended, which is also why I was able to catch up to the guy during the chase. It's an important note that I forgot to include. That's only possible because of Infinite Sprint, which is not intended.
It's not protect and serve, it's let me cover my ass. And... make sure I don't incriminate myself. Even though I shot an unarmed man, so I
This is a two-parter mission, basically. The first half, you just race these guys to this marker on my map. It's just a boat that's probably selling drugs or something, I can't quite remember. But I take the fastest route there, and everyone else takes a slow route, so it's pretty easy to make it in time. And then the second half is a bit of an auto-scroller. It's quite literally an auto-scroller. As our friend Lance is just going to drive the boat back to the mansion we just came from.
You gotta judge people on...
And I gotta fend off the dudes that are coming to kill us.
Most
The
chosen
bar
version of
at
the
the
game is faster
right
than
under my
others.
weapon is just the boat health. So it's important to make sure
When
that
it comes to like sports teams,
you
yeah,
kill
I
these
like the
dudes
USA
so that they
sports team
don't blow up your boat and
because
cause you to
it's where
fail
I'm
the
from.
mission. I actually took a
I mean, I
bathroom
didn't
break
choose to be
once on
born
this
here,
mission.
but I might as well
I was
enjoy
kind
what
of
I
being
have
cocky
around me.
about it. I killed the guys
And
at the
this
start
become
really
crazy
fast, and then I
stuff.
ran to the bathroom, and I
I
came back, and my
don't. I
boat was
never
on
here
fire.
for it,
So these guys can definitely do some damage to you if
I
you're
think
not
the lack
careful.
of home
I actually
crashing
take
makes it
quite a
better
bit of damage
speedrun.
there. You could also use the close replay in the same way that we did here, but because I overwrote that close replay with the property icon
Belgium's
replay,
a cool place.
I can't
hear
use it
Belgium makes
anymore.
fucking fantastic
It's gone.
chocolate, for example.
It's overwritten. So I just have to do this mission as intended. I don't shoot the driver of this guy, this boat, until he's off the
I live
path
near,
of our vehicle, because
Winston-Salem.
otherwise sometimes Lance will drive right into the boat
I was out in
ahead of
the,
us
mountains
and flip over.
last
It's
weekend. It was a lot
it's
of fun.
incredible. It's also, you know, leads to a mission
Crazy
fail,
nationalistic in Turkey.
so that's not in our interest here. The mission ends when we reach back to the dock. I shoot Lance during
Just
the
accept
fade
that
out
not
for
everything
fun.
from your country
It
is
affects
perfect. Exactly,
nothing.
yeah. Like
Like the game
nationalism
doesn't
can
check to
breed
see if Lance
ignorance and
dies
like
after the
blind
fade out
nationalism.
begins, so I still pass the mission. And it's
Yeah,
just a
with
fun little thing to
unfortunately
do.
Blazed Avenue.
Since we don't like Lance that much, he's kind of a, like, an unfriendly character in the later parts of the game. And he also causes a lot of, like, runs to die later on because his AI is really poor. So now I'm going to put that helicopter back into use here. I'm done with these missions at the mansion. I'm going to go back to our old friend on the dock. His name is Cortez. He's got another mission for us. It's not actually available yet, but the very next phone call unlocks it. So I'm going to land the helicopter and take that phone call.
Not too far away. Yeah, you don't meet many North Carolinians on Twitch.
Doing a little bit of moonwalking for fun.
Baseball game or a football game. I love baseball.
Now we go on to Sir Yes Sir. This mission involves stealing a tank,
watch
which is
every game.
honestly easier said than
Probably
done.
gonna be streaming.
The
like, if I'm
military
streaming,
back
then
in
there's definitely no
1986
baseball on, or my
was
team isn't
not
doing very well, which sounds
as
terrible. But like,
secure
if we're 7
as
runs
they are in this day
behind,
and age, I
and
suppose.
it's looking tragic, I'm just gonna be like, yeah,
Just
maybe
gonna
I'm
fly
gonna
over to that marker over there,
stream, or like really far
and
ahead,
in
like
a
7
kind of a
oh
specific
ahead.
spot, take the tank.
Yeah, we're probably gonna.
The fun part about the tank is if you turn the turret gun around and
Baseball's
shoot
a
in the
long-ass
reverse
game.
direction of where you're going, it'll add to your velocity. So that is pretty entertaining. Although you got to be careful not to get too crazy with it, because you could end up in pretty dire spots with the tank here. The bar on the right is counting up to a specific point in time. I don't know exactly the amount of seconds it takes.
Oh shit.
It's basically time until
Yeah, a lot of
detonation
NASCAR around
occurs
here,
for the
definitely.
tank. It's got like a self-destruct mode, but it's pretty trivial to make it in time when speedrunning. Just hop out of the garage, get out, and the door will close, and that's the
One
mission
baseball match
passed.
lasts on average,
Now we're gonna run
anywhere
back
from 3.5 hours
to the helicopter. On the way, we're gonna take a phone call.
How many games are left in the baseball season?
So it's important not to enter any vehicles here.
150.
It doesn't really save you time
Get a
anyway,
Baseball ballpark in it.
and it's a good place to take a phone call, so we go ahead and do that.
Cordy, what's up, man?
Some phone calls don't really add anything to the story. They don't unlock anything, and they're not particularly
There was a
useful or
game
interesting.
recently that went
They just still got to
19
be cycled
innings
through. We actually have to
this
take them
season,
because they have priority
and,
over
that
over
was
more
7
important phone
hours
calls.
long. It wasn't
So like
good.
this phone call doesn't really do anything, but we
really
have
wanted
to
that
take this
game,
phone
I was
call in
playing
order to
San
get to the
Andreas
next
once, and
one,
that
which
was
actually
hilarious.
unlocks the next mission.
Games can take 5 days and still be a draw. That's insane. Yeah, the baseball rules, you know about how, like, the 7th inning stretch.
Now we're heading back to the
Baseball
Malibu
rules
Club,
actually
which you
indicate that there is a
might have
7th
seen
inning
at the
stretch
beginning of
every
the
7
game.
innings, so it covers for, like, ultra-long games with the 14th inning stretch or the 21st
This is where our next mission will take place. Once again, it's not actually on the radar, nor has it been unlocked, but this phone call that we're going to take upon landing will trigger that for us here.
Hey, Jamie, it's going alright right now? It's not bad. Just start to watch baseball. I really like baseball. I don't know why. This is something I grew up on. Could be hard to get into sport if you didn't really grow up on it. Oh, shit. Your mom walked in on porn. Nice. What do you prefer, F1 or NASCAR?
And now
I
our
like
buddy
both.
Lance, who we
F1
were
is
just
really
on the phone
fast,
with,
really technical.
on the
NASCAR
other
is
side of
really,
the
like,
map.
methodical, and
He's got himself
planning
in
that
some
goes
dire
into it.
straits here. He got himself kidnapped, so we got to go and rescue him. This is one of the missions where Lance's AI rather, can be a bit of a pain. We're going to head up on through, taking a bit of a specific
F1, you kind of just
flying
sit
route,
around one
and
corner,
we're going to land our helicopter in a
flying,
pretty specific
and then go
location.
by every so often.
This area is
Why
notorious
TV is
for
a lot better
despawning
than
helicopters, so we got to be careful on where we land it there. And now we gun down these 4 dudes, as this cutscene doesn't trigger until they're dead.
Ice hockey. I've been to an ice hockey game. I enjoy it, but I didn't really know what was going on. But it went to a shootout, and that was exciting. Even though I didn't know the sport, I knew what was going on then, and I knew
Brief
that
conversation
this was
here
exciting.
between Lance and Tommy.
You get a hard on with this if Giants lose.
And now we're off. I'm going to take kind of a strange maneuvering pattern through here to make sure that Lance doesn't get lost on the way back here to our helicopter. Now we got to airlift him to the hospital.
Yeah, NASCAR is more of a contact sport, too. What's up, Matt?
And then after that, we will be going to crack down on our boss Diaz,
I'd like to go to
who
SGDQ
held
first, though.
Lance captive just now until we busted him out.
They watch NASCAR live. It's fun.
And
I've been
then
there.
that begins the third act
It's
of the
fun,
game,
it's
where
loud, obviously.
properties become available to
It's exciting.
purchase, and we own the mansion, and now we raise ourselves up as the new lords of the criminal world in Vice City.
It gets a lot of jipes for, like, being nothing but left turns, but
I'm gonna get
makes it
in
better
and
to
out of
stay
my
faithful.
helicopter, well, out and in rather. I get out and in because that keeps the helicopter in the game's memory. If I didn't do that,
his partner,
then
more like where his partner.
the helicopter would
Partner's out on the
despawn
yacht.
after starting the next mission, and I want to hold on to it for as long as I can here.
You went to Talladega? That's awesome. Talladega's a hell of a track. Really fast, high banking. But yeah, I know you're pretty deep into WWE, Matt. I am not, so...
Gonna park it
Like,
in
I know
Diaz's
more about
driveway,
NASCAR
take
than
another phone call
WWE, so
here.
I would prefer to go to a NASCAR race as opposed to WWE, but that's just me.
This game actually has some
About things about
censored
resetting the
dialogue
game after you get past
in relation to
runners have to reset a few
kind of the
minutes.
racism that's
I mean,
included in this game. Like, this phone call skips a line
well,
where Cortez
makes
kind of
sense,
makes
but
a
at the same
racist
time it
comment,
doesn't, 'cause here's the thing.
and it is
Like,
not
we
included in the
don't
Japanese
know
version.
if the gameplay is affected. We
Now we're
have
going to go
found no
down
evidence
and
the
kill
gameplay is
Diaz. I'm going to
affected
look
after
down
that.
at the ground a lot here
Whereas in
because that
SA, it's
reduces
clear
the
and obvious that there's a
shooting
gameplay
ability
effect
of the
that
AI
comes into
here.
play after swimming.
If they're not drawn on screen, then
So
less
if you could
processing
point out
power is
what
applied to
happens
them,
after
and
Goku
they
decides
therefore
the
end
light's
up
going funky, then I would
being a
be
bit
for it.
crazier with their accuracy.
But until then, I don't see a reason.
And now I'm going to run around the room. It looks like I'm taking the long way around here, and I am, but I'm also skipping a cutscene trigger here. And I'm going to run directly into Diaz's office and gun him down with the chainsaw. And now we own this mansion as Diaz is dead.
What's up, Kodak? Hope you're doing alright.
And I pick up this health icon. Actually, no, sorry. That's not a health icon. That's a save icon. And when you pick up a save icon and cancel the save, even if you don't save, you still replenish your health to the
Everyone
max.
thinks it's Molotov, and the only time
So
you
I
have
did
a
that there
Molotov is
to,
when you're pooping, so I don't
raise
know.
my health back to 100, as
I
you
don't
can
think it's
lose a bit of health
necessary to
during this
reset.
mission. The goal now is to fly to the mall and bust out all of the windows, and we're going to do so using this Uzi that we have in our inventory now.
I think new timing should be a thing.
The health on these windows is random,
That's
so it
about
can kind of be of a bit of a pain at times. Sometimes you get really amazing windows that break after a couple shots, and then other times they'll take 10 to 15, and it feels like they're taking an eternity.
I thought this was Copland for a second. I was like, why am I going to the mall? I'm Copland.
So now we're going to head in here and bust these windows. We have a specific route for these. It's changed a couple times, but this seems to be the optimal route through here. I'm also going to hit the replay button a couple times. I'm not loading my saved replay, I'm loading the last 15 seconds of the game. That's the generic F1 replay. There's nothing special about it other than when I trigger the replay, it's going to refill my gun. Like I did right there. I have 30 bullets again, and again, I did it there, and I replenished back to 30. Gonna whip out my M4 for these last two so I don't have to move too far here. And that's the mission passed, and now we have the ability to purchase properties. The thing about this game is that the third act is non-linear. You need to own and have completed 7 assets that you can purchase on the map. You have to have 2 of these are required. The mansion, which we're about to finish up with these next 2 missions, is 1 asset that we need to have. And the second one is the printworks. You need to have the printworks. That's the second asset. We're going to complete both of those, and then we're going to fool the game into thinking we have all 7 assets when we really only have 3. That's going to be the mansion, the printworks, and cherry poppers. And the way we do that is to trick the game into thinking we're finishing 5 assets at the same time, and really it's the same one, just done 5 times. We're not going to do the mission back to back to back 5 times. Instead, we're going to run 5 instances of the mission at the same time, complete all 5 at the same time, then the counter is going to add +5 to how many assets we own. This is a process we call duping, where we start the mission 5 times. We use a rampage to manipulate this. Also, I park the VCN heli in the red bushes there. That's where it doesn't despawn. I took another phone call, started this next mission, and it's faster to use the Infernus, the ground vehicle for this, as we want to hold on to the helicopter until the next mission, Copland, which you can see on my splits there. So I'm just driving down to this restaurant that has these security guards that are not part of the Vercetti gang, and Tommy Vercetti is not very happy about this. He wants to be the monopoly on security in this town, so he's going to go and put these guys out of business, gun those guys down, and interrogate the owner about where the security came from. And then we're going to go put them out of business.
Good run, don't remind me.
The third act of this game is incredibly strange. It's very technical. There's not a lot of like finite execution like in Super Mario 64. It's more like finite specific skill set execution of game state manipulation like in Ocarina of Time, as opposed to just parkour, which is a lot of what Mario is. At least 120 and 70 star. So we gun those guys down, blow up that car to kill a bunch of guys at the same time, then run over the last one, get back into the vehicle, and mow down these last 2, and then our replay from earlier is going to come into play. This is the property icon replay I was talking about. I'm going to buy it through the replay, and that teleports me across the map to this property, which I now own. And also my car made it across the island as well, so I'm going to take a bit of... It's going to take me a few seconds to get out of here, unfortunately, but besides that, it saves a few seconds on the drive back to the mansion. We get out around here and take this phone call. Unfortunately, I goof and realize I'm stuck in here It's not something I'm quite used to yet, but it is something that I can just easily fix by walking up there like that and just entering the property that I want to be in. So I'm going to lose a few seconds because this phone call is going to finish, and I'm not going to be at the mission marker, so I've got to run back there. And unfortunately, my sprint ran out for some reason. It was just strange, so I jump a couple times. This jumping is faster than walking, and I make it to the marker. And now we're going to look around for dudes to kill. We want to have 2 stars for this mission, because 2 stars guarantees cop spawns. But unfortunately, I can only find 3 guys to kill, and that's going to give me 1 star. The second star happens when you kill 7 people in rapid succession, but I was only able to find 3 people to kill. So now I killed those 3 guys to get the star, and then I'm going to fly off to the next objective, which is this garage that we're going to lure some cops into to knock them out and steal their uniforms. But in order to guarantee that I'm going to get some cops to knock out, I need to have 2 stars. So I'm going to spend some more time looking around for people to shoot. I'm going to gun them down until the cops warrant me with 2 stars instead of just 1. I actually lose my star there, but I gain it back quite quickly by gunning that guy down. I almost shoot Lance there. It would have been tragic. Would have failed the mission immediately. So there I got my 2 stars. I'm going to run in here and face the wall and wait, and that guarantees these 2 cop spawns right there.
This is okay.
So now just a bit of cutscene here. And now we're going to punch Lance, and we do that because when you punch him, he falls on the ground, and he stays down there for a few seconds before he decides to get back up, and that gives us just enough time to get out of his follow zone, like follow radius. Like the game is telling us to go back and get Lance right now, but we can actually continue this mission without Lance. And it actually skips some dialogue, saves about 5 seconds. If we don't punch Lance, he would just follow us into the helicopter and take off with us, and he'd land here, and we would start the dialogue, and it would take some time before this marker that I just walked into would be triggered. So I trigger the marker, run out as fast as I can. That triggers this cutscene, and now I've got to make it back to the mansion safe and sound with Lance in tow. Sometimes the cops are not so nice. There will be cops around my helicopter. Sometimes cops will actually show up and bust me while I'm sitting in here. Usually that doesn't happen, but sometimes it can. Most of the times the cops don't really show up, so that's pretty helpful. And sometimes Lance actually doesn't come into the helicopter like he does there, so I was grateful enough to have him not mess around and decide to shoot cops instead of getting into the helicopter. So we just head back here to the mansion. And actually, Lance does kind of mess up here.
What the fuck, Lance?
What's supposed to happen, he's supposed to be standing next to Tommy, as opposed to out in the corner of whatever he's doing, and that wastes some time on the cutscene here. But anyway, that's the first asset completed, as it says Vercetti Estate mission or mansion completed. And it's telling me there that this property is now going to generate $5,000 of revenue each day. It's not important to speedrun whatsoever. And now I take the sports car to the next location. Although in the new world record, which happened hours after this one was posted, he takes the helicopter, so it might be faster. I suppose it is, but either way, you just want to get around to this section of the map.
It's really unfortunate when it happens too.
And we take this phone call and run the rest of the way. And now we're going to go up to buy the Printworks, which is the second property that is required to finish the game. And then you have 5 miscellaneous ones. But we're going to bypass doing the 5 miscellaneous ones by doing this one 5 times and then Cherry Poppers once to meet that quota of 7 as 5 + 1 + 1, counting the Vercetti Mansion, Cherry Poppers, and then Printworks 5 times. So we buy it and start the first mission. This is telling us to get in the taxi, and conveniently, it is definitely the fastest way to our mission marker, which is at the Malibu, which is across the map. I'm going to shoot this cab 6 times. 8, actually, but 6 is the minimum you need for him to get out and flee. and that's helpful as taking the taxi down to this next vehicle, the PCJ, is faster than running, and it's more reliable than bargaining for a good vehicle spawn.
Morto, what's up, dude? Hope you're doing alright.
So we're going to take the sports bike the rest of the way down here. This is actually the last part of the run where the sports bike is required, or actually used. You're going to see me using it in the next section, but I'll have to do some explaining there as to exactly what I am doing, because most new people are confused as to what actually is happening during that section. So we head to the Malibu, trigger cutscene, then we come down here to this boat, park the PCJ right around there, and I grab the armor for safety, but it is slow. It is better to gamble it in terms of time, but I didn't want to die on this run. So run up the boat, avoid the shots, and trigger this cutscene. I was lucky enough to have Tommy just run in there. Sometimes you run too fast and you don't trigger it, even though you're inside, so you gotta walk out and trigger it and come back in through the cutscene. Now I jump off the boat with a fancy maneuver and retrieve my bike and head back to the print works to finish the mission.
Why you waste time getting the armor?
And then we start the process where things really start to get crazy.
I don't want to die on
and it is what makes this run so fast, as opposed to a year ago when the world record was about 1 hour 20 minutes or something. And we've been able to cut so much time, mostly because of this trick, which saves the big chunk of time that we're looking for. So I'm going to save the game and take note of the time, which is 14:11. Talk about the in-game time in the upper right-hand corner. And now mentally, I'm going to take 14:11 and add 2 minutes to that. So 16:11, and then I'm going to add 29 seconds. So 16:40. And basically, I'm just going to wait until 16:40. So that means I have nothing better to do but just kill time. Because I have to let the engine of the game, not the in-game time, mind you, but the game engine time, to count up 2 minutes and 30 seconds, approximately. The first 2 minutes, it's 2 minutes because 2 minutes is the length of a rampage in this game, right? Every rampage is 2 minutes long. And the extra bit of change is just to guarantee that I'm going to be able to fail the rampage multiple times.
Peon, what's up, dude?
And I allow myself at least 26 seconds, which is the amount of time it takes to do the duping. So basically, we have to wait the 2 minutes, and then however good you're at duping, you can just wait the extra bit of time before making the replay. Now, why you do this is because when you load the game, you're going to load the game after saving that replay. You're going to load the game, and you're going to start doing the dupe. So you're going to run into the marker of the printworks and hit the replay at the same time. And that, if you're successful, the timer will appear and the mission will start. That means you started both the rampage and the mission at the same time. Now, when you skip the cutscene and you're given movement again, if you hit your replay again, it's going to fail the rampage. This is because when you're in the replay, the game is going to notice that over 2 minutes of time have passed, and it's going to say, alright, 2 minutes have passed, we need to fail the rampage. So it's going to fail, and then when you hit it again, it's going to start. And when it's started, and you hit it again, it's going to fail. And this goes on and on and on until the game no longer sees that over 2 minutes have passed. So this is why we wait 2 minutes plus some time, because we need to have at least 2 minutes still remaining of difference between the current time and this time, which is in the future. Because when we load the game, we're going to be 2 minutes and 29 seconds into the past. We need, after the 5th rampage start, we need to have it still be 2 minutes from whatever time it was before we loaded the game. So this is the duping right here. I've already started it once, and this is the second time, and this is going to be the third time. There's a lot of ways to do this. I prefer not using the camera at all, so I just do the backwards duping, and I have visual references on the side of the screen to help me figure out where exactly the best angle is to approach it from. I think this is the 5th one. I'm not sure. I haven't been counting.
Honey, what's
but
up, dude?
yeah, it looks like the 5th one. So I started that mission 5 times, and I was able to complete the duping there without many problems. I have my phone ringing now. Even though I'm on a mission, the game doesn't see that I'm on a mission. Like I said, the game state is in the off mission state, so I can take phone calls while I'm on this mission, and that's really helpful because this gets a lot of these phone calls out of the way. As this run has gotten shorter and shorter, we have less places to put phone calls, so we just cram them in during times when we're really not supposed to be able to take phone calls, like this mission. So I'm gonna have 5 yellow markers on my map right there. You can see it on the map next to the sea. That's 5 yellow markers because I started the mission 5 times.
So many things you gotta remember.
Also, there's no traffic because we've overloaded the game with traffic and pedestrian values, so it can't actually spawn anymore. The memory for pedestrians and traffic is just completely full. So I have to rely on a fixed spawn of this vehicle down here. I park here and take this phone call. This is the longest phone call in the speedrun. So it's really handy that we take it right around here because most of this is just travel time. You can see a bunch of helicopters in the sky there. Only one is still functioning. The rest are just kind of zombies. But the one that's still functioning is the last one that just showed up to the cluster right there. And now I'm going to lure out the person sitting in that helicopter by throwing a Molotov at that helicopter. I'm going to wait a few seconds until it's in a location where I'm sure it won't end up in the ocean, because that's happened to me a bit. It spins around, which is pretty unfortunate, but I was able to lure her out, and I got the briefcase that she needs, and that's the briefcase that I need to have to pass this mission. We're still on this phone call, and when you're on phone calls, all the AI in the game ignores you. This is also why you can't take phone calls if you have a wanted level, because that just looks silly if you have a wanted level and you get a call, and you take the call and the cops stop chasing you. So yeah, I was able to bypass all the enemies there because they were ignoring me because I was on a phone call. Now the phone call's finished, I make my way back to my Cheetah, which is the vehicle I'm using, and I saved a replay earlier over the save icon here, and when I get within range in the same zone of the save icon, it's going to teleport me all the way down here, all the way back to the Printworks. I have one last phone call to take before I finish this mission. This phone call actually helps me trick the game into thinking I'm no longer on a mission, as well as get a phone call out of the way here. So I'm going to wait until a specific point in the phone call where I know that the phone call will finish before the mission pass screen finishes right now. And you can see it's telling me I finished the asset, and it's going to tell me about the money, and then the phone call is going to end before this cutscene ends. And then it's going to start this mission again. Even though I already finished it, I start another instance of it because the mission hadn't passed yet. So I just finished the mission, and the game does not register me as on a mission, but a mission script is currently running. Even though the on-mission flag is set to false, the game state is currently off a mission. This allows me to start this mission while already having a mission script running. These two mission scripts are going to like collide. We don't really understand why this works, but this is going to pass immediately. Right now, that has it passed, and I'm going to take this phone call, and this is going to trigger the final like end game of this game, is this phone call here. So that was the last asset I needed to get those 7. And the reason we do Printworks 5 times instead of 6, like most people think should happen, we have to have an additional asset because these collectors that are about to show up here, these guys on bikes, they need somewhere to go. They can't go to the mansion, and they can't go to Printworks. So they go to Cherry Poppers, which is the asset that I just completed, by having the mission scripts collide, freak out, and then both terminate, and I guess positive outcomes, I'm not even sure. But they're just going to sit there because the game, like, I have the asset, but I don't have the money that is given, and I didn't, like, actually pass the mission. It's weird. We don't really know why it works, we just know it does. And this is what the Japanese version allows us to do. That Cherry Popper strat crashes every other version of the game, except for the Japanese version on both the PS2 and PC. So now I've got to gun down all these guys that want to come and take my money because the Mafia up north is upset that I've kind of established a name for myself down here. I'm just going to gun these guys down on bikes and that's going to pass the mission, and then the mission immediately after this, and immediately after the next set of collectors on this bike here, is going to be the final mission. I try to position myself so that I'm driving with them, like that, and gunning them down at the same time, but I mess up and they fall over, and this is kind of a time loss here. You don't want them to fall over, because then it takes time for them to get up, and they're no longer progressing south, which is also the direction I want to go in, because the final mission takes place at the mansion that I was at earlier, and that's like in the exact middle of the map here, so I gotta head a little south, and then to the left, and cross this next bridge coming here. And I'm gonna take one final phone call, and then I'm gonna trigger the final mission. So even though you wouldn't expect that a Grand Theft Auto game has a very technical aspect to it, this one is definitely the glitchiest of them all, and I think that makes it the most interesting, because you've got a lot of technical stuff going on, not just with duping and replays, but also in, like, mission strats, and even outside of mission strats, like gate zip, and when I was walking on the bridge earlier to get to the helicopter, a lot of interesting things that are abused for the sake of time. So this is the final mission.
5630.
I actually just take my hands off my mouse and keyboard and stand here for a bit. We figured out that if you don't move your mouse, or really move that much here, nobody will spawn. Your mansion is supposed to be currently being raided by a bunch of Northern Mafia guys.
Dude, you can world record
But if you just stand here and wait and not move the camera, none of them will spawn. It's strange. I think it had something to do with enemy spawns being tied to movement of the camera, but I don't know if that's exactly true or not. That might just be
my first relevant world record.
might just be
Damn,
a myth, I suppose. I'm not even sure. But either way, about a minute is going to pass after starting this mission, and then Lance is going to come out. He's now betrayed us, and we're going to have to kill him. And it's pretty easy. This entire mission is on a timer, so killing him quickly has nothing to do with the speed of this final mission. I just chainsaw him there. I'm supposed to follow him all the way to the roof, but I could just chainsaw him there and get it done with and not leave the central area too much. That balcony at the top of the stairs, like that area at the top of the stairs, really it's not a balcony, is where I want to be to trigger the final mission. Not the final mission, the final boss to appear. So I'm going to stand around here and gun down guys until about a minute passes and the final boss will show up. Just gunning down guys as they come in. There are some guys under the stairs that are shooting at me, I think. You can see sparks at my feet. Pretty sure they're under the stairs firing up at me. And here's the final boss, the guy in the middle.
Run after. I need to probably
with the
relax
black coat.
after this.
There's a short cut scene, and I'm going to gun him down with my most powerful weapon. It doesn't take too long to kill him. And then I'm going to move to the side, and as soon as I stop moving, I stop the timer. So that's 56:31, the world record at the time, beating the old time of 57:03. But during the process of making this commentary, actually, this record was broken with a 56:01, approximately. But this is still the second fastest time. And this time, I'll probably beat this time soon, but until then, it's a pretty clean run, showing off all the new stuff, and I figured it'd be great to make a commentary of it and upload it, so you guys at SGDQ and the Games Done Quick can see it for yourself, and hopefully my commentary has provided some insight. I think it's a really fun run. It's a game that a lot of people are nostalgic with, and so I see a lot of people come into my stream and say, man, I love this game as a kid, which I'm sure like every speedrunner gets, because speedrunners like to play games that they're familiar with too, right? Like, I played this game when I was a kid, and I'm playing it more as an adult now that I've decided to speedrun it. So, either way. It's definitely an interesting speedrun. It's not something you would expect to come out of Vice City, all this technical aspects of it, all the crazy glitches and whatnot. But it's pretty interesting to see, I think. And it's a new way of, like, you know, experiencing the game, both as a viewer and as a speedrunner. So that's that, I suppose. That's the end of the game. There are the credits, the mission is passed,
Yo, Adrian!
and I do some post-PB celebration.
Money. Thank you.
So yeah,
I appreciate
thank you
that,
for
man.
listening, guys.
Always a pleasure to have
Thank you for tuning in. I hope to be at
Alright.
SGDQ,
Oh, man. Good thing
so I can
showed
show
up.
this
Yeah,
run
dude.
off to the world.
Ben, baby!
And until then, I'll see you next time. Thank you guys. Take care.
Hold on.